love story. Elena had never known an easy life. At 18, she had already endured more struggles than most people twice her age. She grew up in a cramped apartment on the rough side of town, where nights were filled with sirens and mornings came too soon. Her mother worked long hours as a cleaner, and her father had disappeared when she was 10, leaving them to fend for themselves. From a young age, Elena understood sacrifice. She watched her mother come home exhausted, her hands raw from scrubbing floors, only to wake up before dawn and do it all over again. There was never enough money, and food was stretched as far as possible. But despite their hardships, Elena had dreams. She wanted to study, to build a life beyond the worn-down walls of her childhood. She juggled 2 part-time jobs, mornings at a coffee shop and evenings as a cashier, while attending school during the day. It wasn't easy. There were nights she came home so tired she could barely keep her eyes open, but she pushed forward, determined to escape the cycle of poverty. Then life threw another challenge her way. Her mother fell ill. The hospital bills stacked up, and suddenly every extra dollar went toward medicine and doctor visits. Elena had to drop out of school to work full-time. Each day, she carried the weight of her family's struggles on her shoulders, feeling like she was drowning in a world that never gave her a break. One evening, after an exhausting shift, she trudged home through the rain. The streets were slick, and her thin jacket did little to protect her from the cold. As she hurried down the sidewalk, she stepped on a puddle, lost her footing, and fell hard. Groceries spilled from her bag, apples rolling down the pavement. Frustration welled up in her eyes. It was too much. Too much disappointment, too much struggle. She felt tears burn her cheeks, mixing with the rain. Then a voice broke through the storm. "Hey, are you okay?" She looked up to see a young man kneeling beside her, his warm brown eyes filled with concern. He had tousled black hair, slightly damp from the rain, and wore a jacket that looked just as worn as hers. Without hesitation, he picked up her fallen apples and handed them back. "Here," he said with a smile. "Rough night?" Elena nodded, too tired to even pretend otherwise. "I'm Daniel," he said, standing up and offering his hand. She hesitated before taking it, feeling the warmth of his palm against hers. From that night on, Daniel became a part of her world. He wasn't rich or privileged. He worked just as hard as she did, delivering packages during the day, fixing cars at night. But unlike the people who usually passed her by, Daniel saw her. He understood what it meant to struggle, to fight for a future no one handed you. They spent late nights talking, sharing their fears and dreams beneath the glow of flickering streetlight. He made her laugh, something she hadn't done in a long time, and for the first time in years, she felt like she wasn't alone. Weeks turned into months. They encouraged each other, pushing through every obstacle. When Elena's mother needed extra care, Daniel helped however he could, offering support without hesitation. And when Daniel talked about his dream of starting his own courier business, Elena was his biggest cheerleader. Their journey wasn't easy. There were setbacks, days when they felt like giving up, but they held on to each other, believing that their struggles wouldn't define them. Slowly, things started to change. Daniel saved enough to buy a second-hand delivery van, making his dream a reality. Elena found a way back to school, taking evening classes while working part-time. Their lives, once filled with hardship, began to shift towards something brighter. Years passed, and their sacrifices bore fruit. Daniel's small business grew, and Elena achieved her goal of becoming a teacher. One evening, as they stood outside their modest but cozy home, Daniel took her hands in his. "We made it, Elena," he whispered, emotion thick in his voice. She smiled, tears glistening in her eyes. "And we always will." Through every hardship, every setback, they had risen together. And in the end, love and perseverance had turned their dreams into reality. Years later, they started a family. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more.